I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. In connection with a ruling relating to the January 6th committee, a federal judge, David Carter, from the Central District of California, stated that what Donald Trump and his lawyers were doing was not actual legal work. They were engaged in a coup in search of a legal theory, and now a new report out by Kyle Cheney from Politico puts the pieces together of this coup in search of a legal theory with a constellation of emails and memos sent by Donald Trump's lawyers, and specifically homes in on Donald Trump's lawyer, Co-Conspirator number 5, Ken Cheseboro. And when you look at Ken Cheseboro's background and to think about how he has just completely tarnished and destroyed his reputation in service of Donald Trump, this is someone who went to Harvard Law School, graduated in 1986, worked at the top law firm Sidley Austin, Cravath, clerked for a district court judge, worked at the Department of Justice, had an appellate practice that was, by all accounts, doing pretty decent, but went on the MAGA train in service of Donald Trump. And now he's co-conspirator number 5 in special counsel Jack Smith's latest indictment against Donald Trump, and for good reasons. In this new report by the Politico, you see the evolution of Ken Cheseboro from providing the first kind of memo, getting this taste of power, and then going full-fledged overthrow our democracy as the emails progress throughout December of 2020. And I think it's important to look at these source documents together, and that's why I'm glad that Kyle Cheney posted it on his Twitter account, and that's why I want to share these documents with you, these memos with you that have been filed in other matters before, because when we talk about the evidence special counsel Jack Smith has and you look at it, you see just how disturbing this is. You know, I'm reminded by Hannah Arendt's Banality of Evil that she wrote. It's a book that she wrote just about how the Nazis just seemingly went about their course in such they treat it as though it's normal, the genocidal maniacs that they were, the atrocities that were committed. And I just think about human nature, how this Harvard lawyer is writing an email like this. This is going back and forth with John Eastman, and you see these messages, and then Eastman starts talking to Cheseboro about, I'm fine with Ken's edits. They're preparing a memo together. As for hearings, I think both are unnecessary. The fact that we have multiple slates of electors demonstrates the uncertainty of either. That should be enough. And I agree with Ken that the Judiciary Committee hearings on the constitutionality of the Electoral Count Act could invite counter views that we do not believe should constrain Pence or Grassley, MAGA Republican Chuck Grassley, in the exercise of power they have under the 12th Amendment. Better for them just to act boldly and be challenged, since the challenge would likely lead to a court denying review on non-judiciable political question grounds. And he should act boldly, and that the vice president should just completely violate the law. Here is this memo from December 13th, 2021. And as Cheney says, it's where Cheseboro lays out the plans to have Pence take control and refuse to count Biden's electoral votes. And as Cheney says, he theorizes about how to avoid adverse court rulings and even a scenario where Trump quits and Pence would become the president.
Let's stop cutting down trees to make toilet paper. Now, it's true, humans are cutting down tens of thousands of trees every day just to supply the American need for toilet paper. And the worst part is that when we use trees for toilet paper, it's just one use and done. It obviously can't be recycled or reused, so it just goes straight into our water system. That's why I made the switch to real paper. Real is 100% bamboo, so we're using a plant that grows fast, can be harvested and regenerated, think like the grass in your lawn, and doesn't impact the entire ecosystems of forests. Real is the best kind of eco-friendly product because it doesn't feel like you're sacrificing something to help the earth. In fact, it feels like an upgrade. It's shipped free to my door in plastic-free packaging, and I could schedule it on a subscription so that it comes exactly when I need it. My favorite thing about Real, without getting too personal, is that it's super comfortable in those sensitive areas. Real paper is available in easy, hassle-free subscriptions or for one-time purchases on their website. All orders are conveniently delivered to your door with free shipping in 100% recyclable plastic-free packaging. If you head to realpaper.com/Meidas and sign up for a subscription using my code Meidas at checkout, you'll automatically get 30% off your first order and free shipping. That's realpaper.com/Meidas or enter our promo code Meidas to get 30% off your first order plus free shipping. Let's make a change for good this year and switch to Real Paper. Real is a paper for the planet.
And here's like a memo that looks like, a dear partner legal memo, but here's Cheseboro talking about overthrowing American democracy. Cheseboro goes on to say here are some quick notes on strategy. I have not delved into the historical record. Vice President Pence's counsel has and seems totally up on this. And I'm sure there are many other lawyers who can add a great deal. And I'm writing with reference to 3 law review articles. The bottom line is I think having the President of the Senate, Pence, firmly take the position that he and he alone is charged with the constitutional responsibility not just to open the votes, but to count them, including making judgments about what to do if there are conflicting votes, represents the best way to ensure, one, that mass media and social media platforms, and therefore the public, will focus intently on the evidence of abuses in election and canvassing. There was none. The Trump report stated that there was no fraud capable of overturning the election. And 2, that there will be additional scrutiny in the courts and or state legislatures with an eye toward determining which electoral slates are the valid ones. And I think this strategy can be carried out with surrogates of the president and vice president, with them standing mostly above the fray, urging only that there be real scrutiny on what happened in this election and that they're willing to live with the results as long as there's a serious look, especially by the state legislatures, at what happened there to ensure it will never happen again. I think having the president of the Senate, the vice president, use this defensible claim that he is in charge of counting the votes as leverage to obtain the needed scrutiny would be worthwhile, even if it couldn't ultimately prevent the election of Biden and Harris. The Republicans used this argument in 1877 as leverage. And then he lays out a chronology of how to basically, implement this plan. But when you go through it and you're talking about it, saying that the vice president has the power to make the judgments on who wins the election, not just count the votes, that's in direct odds to what the 12th Amendment says. But, you go back, and Kyle Cheney does a great job at this, to an initial memo that Cheseboro writes back on November of 2020. You see it gets certainly more disturbing with the more recent ones that I read in December. But you go to this one, November 18th, 2020. It says, you asked for a written summary of the legal analysis underlying my suggestion during our conference call that in any judicial review of canvassing recounting in Wisconsin, we should emphasize that the presidential election timetable affords ample time for judicial proceedings, even if initial errors in the recount require a remand for further recounting. And then it goes on to say that January 6th, the date the Senate and House meet for the counting of the electoral vote, is the real deadline for finding ultimately who wins. But you see how this gets kind of contorted of, okay, January 6th is the date to, okay, on January 6th, here is what you need to do to overthrow the election. And Cheney, in his tweet thread, gives a shout out to Luke Broadwater over at the New York Times, who unearthed this missing link memo right here And this is what Cheseboro said. This follows up on my November 18th memo, the one we just talked about, advocating that unless the president and vice president plan to concede the race if they fail to reach 270 electoral votes by December 14th, the Trump-Pence electors all should meet in their respective states and cast their votes and send them to Washington so that the votes will be physically present at the joint session of Congress on January 6th. This memo briefly covers 3 points: the importance of all electors and all 6 contested voting, messaging about this being a routine measure, and 3, logistics. And then it goes on to talk about implementing the fake elector scheme. But it's not about this is the right thing to do. It's how do we manipulate the media? How do we try to create some form of leverage and defensibility while Donald Trump and others engage in the plot to overthrow our democracy? And so what's to me just so chilling, and I don't know if you've got this feeling too, when you read the memos the way I kind of looked at them right here, they're written just so matter-of-factly. Just written, hey, we're just going to have Pence overthrow the results, just make his own judgment call. Fortunately, Pence didn't do that, and if Pence did that, he would be criminally charged right now. But you got people like Cheseboro, you got people like Eastman, you got all of these people now. MAGA stands for Make Attorneys Get Attorneys. And, was it craving power for all of these reasons to have people just completely sacrificed there? So even my dogs are upset about it. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.